Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. I've got to think of a better intro because my girlfriend keeps saying, well, you can't say that all the time, and she can imitate me almost to a note. Although her voice is a little bit better than mine, so perhaps if she ever does take over, I think you will notice. And then again, let's look at the games this week, because in the top left you can see my email address to recommend games, unfortunately or fortunately, or how it should be, whatever. All the games I got recommended this week, save two or so, have been about banana brains, and let's make it a broadcast about that. So first off, we see Crazio with a little bit of marine pressure, which gets sort of shut down, but no more marines are coming, so that should be good. Random Hammer, of course, is a random bot provoking this marine-only push by Crazio, and oh, the Sunken is up, and with a couple of Zerglings, I think this Sunken can do quite nicely in whittling down the numbers of marines, and although they take 2 hits, they are going to fall, and Random Hammer now has got 3 bases, and already has 10 workers, so that should be okay. This Overlord is in for a bit of a killing, which should be unfortunate, but still we've got the Sunken and 2 Zerglings, although they don't really fight as well as could be. Here we go. Oh, and there is another Sunken in the main, because this one is about to snuff it. Lots of marines incoming, and Random Hammer has got some more drones up at the 3rd, which is good. And ooh, this Sunken is going to be... oh, the Overlord is buffering some damage, that's very good. Although what we have here, lots of minerals and gas for Random Hammer. Now Crazio is also increasing the number of workers. The gas deal doesn't really concern Crazio for the time being, because it's only making marines. And the Sunken is doing quite well. Oh, that's very nice. And now 2 Zerglings coming up with the 2 in the front. The marines of Crazio facing some pressure, which will lead to a little bit of recuperation time for this Sunken colony over here. Now more drones, 13 in all, and more Overlords. They are pretty safe here for the time being. The marines though are growing in numbers, and there we go, that is going to be another building. Looks to be an eBay, and gas being taken at the natural and all. So this Sunken, by virtue of the link pressure, is regaining some of its strength. That said, there are many marines coming in, but oh dear, the worker transfer running straight into marines, but the marines have only eyes for the hatchery and the Overlord, of course. With 18 workers now, I think Random Hammer is in an okay position, and Crazio is going to play without gas this game. That's very curious. The Sunken doing a lot of damage, and although the drones are going to be killed a little bit, for the time being, Random Hammer in an okay position because it's still got the 3rd and the Spire is up, so now the way is free, I think, for some muters, and it will take a lot of muters to break this. Crazio now taking the natural, or at least trying to defend it, with only minerals, and that's very interesting. The gas steel still working, and these 2 muters, of course, are no match for this many marines. Going to speed it up just a little bit. Oh, and with the Lings and the muters not fending off the marines at all, just going after the eBay. But as you can see, Crazio on 28 workers, but it's only minerals, and oh, finally managed to kill the extractor and put up a refinery. Now the muters are out in force. Oh, let me look at how strong they are. Oh, they are pretty strong all by themselves. Now going into the base of Crazio, but there is a bunker there and a turret, and some more marines coming up, and although the muters do a fair amount of damage, Crazio is still in an okay-ish position. Now has got some gas, not really using it at the moment, but the marines hold their own, and with the bunker, the natural soon to be up. The problem for Crazio is that Random Hammer has been left untouched, and is now sitting back on 3 bases with 29 workers in the worker lead. That's quite curious to see a Zerg in the worker lead versus a Terran. But then again, the gas steel did work wonders. And there we go, one more turret being popped up, and Crazio keeping with the marines only. That's very strange. The Sunken has regained health, but all the muters are gone. Random Hammer hasn't got any army at all. That's very weird. Now with 2 Zerglings, but the Marines clean up all the workers and the Sunkens. Now more mutas are coming up, but Random Hammer's got a lot of minerals and gas, but hasn't got any army whatsoever, and that's very strange in my opinion at least. So what's Random Hammer going to do with this wacky build order? Crazio going for another base, and still, oh, finally a factory. 3rd base operational, and Random Hammer now taking another base with 4 drones. Wow, that's nothing to be ashamed of. And another eBay is going to stuff it. Random Hammer with 9 army supply and a lot of extra hatcheries. That's good because it's got a lot of money. Crazio with 3 bases and not really spending gas at the moment. That's very curious, but now building some mutas. That's good. Oh, and there was a lurker, but it was killed. So Random Hammer finally exploding all over the map, building some more macro hatches. That's good. But with only 7 army supply, I really wonder what the game plan is going to be, because that's not a way you'd like to... God, the poor mutas. That's not the way at all you are going to fight Terran on 3 bases with just 4 army supply. That's absolutely crazy. Units streaming in from all angles, but a fair number of drones at the natural dies again, and that's very silly. Now Random Hammer has got some units, will clean out the natural, but the next wave is rolling along nicely. A couple of tanks. Crazio is happy as a clam in a shell with 2 bases still mining, and these Goliaths have got a lot of DPS and a lot of armor, so are doing quite well against the Hydras. But finally, with 10 army supply at the 20-minute mark, Random Hammer is trying to beat back the tanks. And this Hydra over here is running from siege tanks. Good luck with that. Random Hammer, meanwhile, taking the entire map. Crazio taking one more base over here. The problem, though, is that Random Hammer's only got 2 army supply, which is absolutely ridiculous. Crazio with only 23, streaming in units left and right. And if I told you that Crazio was the top bot at the moment, you would not believe it. So, Crazio trying to roll up and over the natural once again. We've got an Ultra Cavern, which by the animation, oh well, looks like it's upgrading something. Would be nice to see some Ultras because, oh well, there's one and a couple of Zerglings and all. And now everything running by Crazio's army. There is a Matrix tank, which is good. The Ultras coming to the rescue, but then think the better of it and die. That was very unfortunate. Random Hammer really ought to save up a little bit of army and try to do something with that, but instead is just feeding units one at a time into the Terran Death Core, consisting of a handful of Marines and Goliaths. The Scourge are badly microed and fall to pieces. Crazio with the ridiculous opening and the really bad play. Is he going to win this? Still, I really don't hope so, but Random Hammer is making it very hard for itself to get anything done in this game. Crazio still with a sort of contain with 1 turret and Goliath. Now 2 vessels are all what's left for Crazio, and Crazio's really better beware. The 4th base is overrun. The Overlord, of course, snuffs it, but there's nothing in this bunker, and the Ultras with Zerglings now come to grips with the enemy at last. The command center is going to fall, and the bunker might fall as well. These Lings are really hungry, and as there is only 1 Marine in it, it is going to die. And now Random Hammer with 74 workers, Crazio on 2 bases. Nice setup with a couple of Marines buffering damage versus the Ultras. 2 tanks in the rear, a couple of Goliaths and a handful of SCVs. Might work, but the question is for how long, because right now Random Hammer's got all the bases in the world. Crazio's map control has dwindled completely. Main, of course, is out, Natural is going to be out soon, and although Crazio's got the army of 46 versus only 33 of Random Hammer's got so much income, it doesn't really matter. And now with the Lings and the Ultras, and although they are badly microed, are going to overrun the enemy, looks like. But Crazio is fighting hard, so much DPS coming from these Goliaths and 1 tank in the rear. Oh, that poor science vessel got scourged, and that's really unfortunate. Only 1 Scourge left. But now Crazio's army is down to 13, and the Ultras and Zerglings are hitting the natural, and a small contingent is also hitting the 3rd, interrupting the mining. And oh, the bunker is going to fall, and now the 3rd's overrun. The natural's sort of broken. Crazio with rallies might just hold this, but the SCVs, oh dear, are blocking the ramp. And now Random Hammer is rolling all over this. And I think that's going to be the game. There are still, there are only mines out here and one Vulture. The Vulture's doing okay versus drones and the Ultra, but oh god, I did it again. How do I do this again? I had a trick for that. Oh well, sorry, I blocked myself by clicking on one of these things over here. Now it's, if I move the arrows, I can only dislocate the link I'm on at the moment, but it's very frustrating. But this game is over, so I'm going to close this replay viewer and go on to the next one. Next game's also a crazier game, and I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm pretty lazy lately. I have been pretty lazy lately. And let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left without banana in it, and then the rest will be all about banana. And that is well merited, as I will show you momentarily, but first we've got Crazio versus a Cherry Pie. And it was a damn shame not having Crazio in the last finals, because he really was one of the better contenders to fight Cherry Pie. Crazio with the bunker first, and that is a very nice position to hold versus the Ravenous Zerglings of the Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie dropped a little bit in the rankings, mostly because bots either learning which build orders worked versus Cherry Pie and which not, and other ones just hard-coding a specific build order against Cherry Pie. Now Cherry Pie with a very defensive setup, 3 Sunkens, that's a lot of drones and minerals lost. And Crazio just going to sit back with a Vulture, a couple of Marines, and then teching up quite nicely on 2 bases, 2 factories, 2 machine shops, upgrading all over the place, and we've got an academy, of course, which will lead in due time to 2 concept stations. Now the first Vultures are out. They are doing quite nicely, but then Cherry Pie has got these things called Hydras, and Hydras can fight Vultures somewhat effectively. Drones, of course, can't really, and Cherry Pie should be rather careful not to swallow too many mines, because that's a lot of money lost. Third base up for Cherry Pie, but Crazio all over it with a lone Vulture. Very good setup, and now Crazio with the defense at the natural with a couple of tanks, and then going round the back. Oh dear, what kind of a devious plan is being hatched there. Cherry Pie, meanwhile, going to build more hatcheries, as it always does. Oh, and a spire as well, that's always a nice touch. Now with 3 bases, Crazio with the third up already. Small mech contingent, and the army supply is going to be all in the area. We have got a command center, we've got a floating barracks and an eBay, and what is going to happen now, that's quite beyond knowing, but Cherry Pie doesn't look to be as brutal as it always does. It has got some issues taking the map, only a relatively tiny army, and of course the Vultures are out in force and doing quite well with the occasional mine hit. And then also the Vultures keeping the Hydra and Zergling numbers down. The Mutas, however, are going to contest those Vultures quite effectively, but Crazio's got 3 bases, and with a bunker and a couple of turrets, I think they can do quite well versus the soon-to-be 4 bases of Cherry Pie, and Crazio all over it with the scouting. That's a very nice touch. 5th base being taken by Cherry Pie, and this is how you run an evil empire. Just build units and buildings all over the place, although you might need a little bit more units than this. Only 20 army supply, and Crazio, not being too aggressive, is in an okay position, looks like. We got the science vessel with a lot of energy, a couple of tanks, and no air force yet, lots of turrets. And that is one thing that has improved over time. Crazio's turret coverage is pretty good, and it rather needs to be, because there are a lot of mutas, but then comes in the Goliath core, and the Goliath dispatched these Mutalisks quite handily. And then Cherry Pie is only on 21 army supply, with the tank force rolling up to the front, and with these incessantly harassing Vultures. It's going to be quite a pain to deal with that. Oh, and even a Matrix Vulture, that's pretty cute. And you can see there are Zerglings dying everywhere. 2 Mutas over here, but the turret cover is such that it can be quite effective, and I wonder if there is anything in these bunkers. Now, 5th base operational somewhat for Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie's army is going to grow, but so is Crazio's, and Crazio's can shield off the tanks with the supporting units, And you can see how much Zerg is going to die. Of course, Terran is taking some damage as well, but with the repairs being on point and then turrets being built in the path of this army, this push, although it's not as heavy as the 150 supply push Grazio used to do, is still going to be pretty potent. Now Cherry Pie, what's it going to do? It's got a lot of drones, it's got almost 70, lots of workers at the natural, worker saturation at the 3rd, okay, 5th not as good, 4th okay-ish. But the big problem is that the army supply is not really going to go beyond 30 now for a little bit. But Crazio's army is increasing as well, and Crazio's army is such a high value army with lots of upgrades, lots of expensive mech units. And of course, if you are at the enemy gates like this, you can kill a lot of units for relatively low cost. But Cherry Pie with the rescue sweeping in, and Crazio's rear guard has not really caught up yet. And there is a tank not really knowing what to do with these mutas. Could run towards a turret, but that's one step too far for the time being. Crazio, however, just by cat's tongue's hair is holding on to this contain, and this vulture is very brave. So now with 2 tanks, 1 to be repaired, 3 tanks and a handful of supporting units, Cherry Pie with an army supply of only 30, trying to get something done over here, but it's only mutas and zerglings, and they are pretty tender to the vulture and wraith touch. 6th base going to be taken 4-0. This science vessel is in a bit of a quandary. And look at how many hatcheries Cherry Pie has at this moment. The big problem for Cherry Pie though is this contain of the natural. Crazio is not letting go, streaming units left and right, taking a 4th base, and the main base for Cherry Pie is going to run out. Now Crazio with the turret right at the doorstep of Cherry Pie, very impressive, buildings being shelled, and the army of Cherry Pie is not growing beyond 30, not much at least. Crazio, although still doing 70, and not really grown much beyond that, is going to increase soon. Oh, that's going to be a nice sweep for Cherry Pie, but can't really commit, and there are too many vultures and Goliaths in the wings. Now Crazio pushing back the defenses at the natural, and you can see that although Cherry Pie's army is about 45, will probably hit 50 soon, Crazio is more than doubling it. And although he could be a little bit, oh dear, the lings are all over the 4th base of Crazio, but the vultures save it. And Cherry Pie cannot do away with this contain, looks like. Still 2 tanks, a handful of Goliaths, and if we look at the upgrades, Zerg is upgrading like a madman, but these siege +3 siege tanks an extra 15 damage, and all these ground units of Cherry Pies can't really keep up with that. And the mutas, of course, they can't really keep up with the Goliaths. The Goliaths are doing so much anti-air damage, and if the Goliaths chase away the mutas, the vultures run over anything on the ground which is not a Hydra, and there aren't any Hydras at the moment. So Crazio looking to be in a prime position to take a good victory versus a Cherry Pie. You can see the natural being rolled over. This base is going to fall to pure vultures. That's pretty impressive. And the map is, or has turned completely white. There are mines everywhere. Small peak, how many have we got? We've got 143 spider mines. Good day to you, sir. And we'll hit the 150 soon, probably. Crazio now rolling in and over the main, and this last base is of course not going to resist any longer. 155 spider mines, and it's a pity we don't have a turret count, because there are a pretty damn lot of turrets as well. So that was this game. And let's hop into the next one, which is a nice concatenation of Cherry Pie versus Expert. And this game was recommended to me as well. I'm going to speed it up just a tiny little notch, because there have been so many games recommended. I didn't really have to search for any games myself. I did select for myself a series of 3. Oh, this gas steel is not really going to work, or is it going to be gas steel? I don't know. Oh no, it's going after the command center, and Egbert is repairing it, not really bothering to kill this drone. And that, of course, is a nice bit of a money drain. Nice bit of sunken defense going on at the end of Cherry Pies, and Egbert going for one of its fabled pushes with Marine Medics, and if only for the sound effects, it would be nice to kill this drone. Now Cherry Pie going for a rather late third base, and only now starting to develop a little bit of an army, and that's a 7 army supply versus the almost 40 of Egbert. And Egbert is with, I think, 6 medics, 7 medics, it's 2 tanks, oh, and finally the drone's gone. And then with about 45 army supply moving out, Cherry Pie trying to run into this with a pure Zergling attack. Obviously that's not going to work. More Zerglings are of course not the answer, and Egbert is chasing the Zerg army for what it's worth. It is rolling. The tanks, although, are a little bit slow. One is, oh, it's not going to be caught because the Zerglings let off, and that would have been a nice flank. And with the Zerglings and the Mutas now, Cherry Pie going in for the bust. The micro on Zerg's part is pretty good, and Terran micro with the stutter step is pretty good as well, but the medics are singled out, and that's very costly because now there are no more medics. And Cherry Pie is going to run the Terran back to its base, and the third base is up. Now Zerg is not in the best position you might think, because it's also trying to build lots of mutas, and this is a pretty sweet defensive position with the bunker, the turret in front of it, lots of marine medic and a vulture, and of course a tank. A couple of tanks here would be pretty devastating. And Cherry Pie is going for a sweet contain while taking a 4th base in the process. Now going for more hatches, more upgrades, and look at this army. Although this army is pretty strong, I doubt it's going to be of much use because, oh dear, Egbert is not really going to populate its natural. That's strange. Only 22 workers versus the 60 of Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie appears to be taking another base soon, and the 4th base is up, so there you go. You shouldn't let anyone get away with this, not even a Protoss, and if you are going to let a Zerg run away with it, you'd better make sure it's not Cherry Pie. Look at this large Zerg ball waiting to pounce. Egbert finally trying to, or at least producing some SCVs to populate the natural, very good, but the 5th base for Zerg will be up soon, and look at how many Zerglings there are. More and more streaming in, and all kinds of tech buildings being constructed in the main. Hatcheries all over the place, 2 at the same time. The second one even started before. Oh, and here comes the Zerg Armada. This is at normal speed. We've got 4-5 tanks, we've got 1 bunker, we've got a handful of Marines and medics, but there are just so many Zerglings. And look at the damage these tanks are pouring into these poor Zerglings. First tank probably is going to fall, but then you've got the bunker and you've got the turret. And Zerg is in a... wow, that was the charge of the Light Brigade, the charge of the Zerg Brigade. But all in all, I think it was worth it because the Natural Command Center got killed and no third has yet been taken. And this base is going to be populated by a couple of drones soon. And that will spell the end of Egbert, because the main's running low, and you can see how fast this army at the doorstep of Egbert is replenished. This science facility is in a very bad position, and of course this is the best defensive position you could have had, aside from some stint fire bats with a lot of upgrades, of course, or a nuke. But then again, Cherry Pie is just going to ram its head or ram its Zerglings up this choke, and with only 1 SCV repairing, I don't think that's the best idea, but in the end it doesn't really matter, does it? Now Cherry Pie with all kinds of buildings all over the place. We've got Ultras coming up, we've got lots of Ultras coming up actually. And if you look at the upgrades, we've got so many upgrades. Ultra Armor, no Ultra Speed yet, but doesn't really matter. Egbert with a nice tank contingent. The bunker though has fallen, and the main is sort of out. Now Cherry Pie with the 60 army supply versus the 40 of Egbert. Egbert doing so much damage. All this blood is Zergling blood. So much Zergling blood has been spilled this game, and more will be spilled as well. Here come the Ultras. They hit the tanks. Only 1 tank dies, but all in all it is worth it because Egbert has got the devil of the job trying to replenish his forces. Another tank falls. The Ultras and the Zerglings come in for more, and they are not going to wait. They are not going even to bother to retreat. It's blood all over the base. There is an extra bunker. There is 1 tank more. The tank is going to fall. This Ultra is immortal, and now going at the bunker. This Ultra has seen it all. It has single-handedly torn down the last remnants of the defense of Egbert. Egbert defending for what it's worth, but as you have got 70 drones and the entire map pouring out cheap Zerg units and expensive Zerg units as well, with lots of upgrades, I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion that you are going to suffer horribly and then die. Yeah, I'm just going to cast them in, I think I'm going to cast them in the right order. It is Egbert, and where we had 2 games of Cherry Pie, one versus Grazier, one versus Egbert, I'm now going to do one versus Banana Brain, and it has been recommended as well, and I've got at least 10 games of Banana Brains recommended this week, so I'm not going to cast them all, but I'm still going to cast a fair share, because I myself was pretty damn impressed with what Banana Brain was going to do. And let's look at how it's going to do so, because we've got a 2-gate basically with a gas, a couple of zealots at the ramp, and lots of workers. There is no limit on the number of workers produced. That seems to be paramount. Just produce probes upon probes upon probes. That is not going to be another gate. That is going to be a cider core, I think. It's a little bit slow for a forge. And Egbert is going for an early gas, 2 barracks, and this must be the academy. 1 bunker at the ramp, nicely placed. You can also do a little bit of damage here, so if anything's running in through here, it will have a lot of time being fired at. So, very good. Now, range started for the goons, which will lead to the conclusion that there probably will be goons, and also a natural hatchery. Both players taking their time. And Egbert is going to be at the bitter end of the stick if it's not going to take a natural as well, because if you are going to play Bio versus a Protoss which is going to macro as hard as the Banana Brain can and will and does, it is going to be very ugly. 3 gates, 4th gates being constructed. I think that's going to be a forge, or it's going to be a shield battery. It's it's a citadel. Oh, pretty nice. Leg speed, always very handy, because if you are going to run into a lot of stint bio, you might as well do it very quickly, then it's over all the sooner. 3rd base taken by Banana Brain. And Banana Brain, well, it's not really throwing anything away, just sitting back, building pylons, building gateways. That's another gateway. And also protecting the 3rd, or is it going to be an attack? Let's look at the upgrades. We've got 4 Terran range, +1 armor starter, +1 weapons as well. Protoss leg speed is almost done. Boom range is done as well. And the Marines are in a bit of a quandary. They're milling about a bit. And they could get much more done if they, just stim and shoot. And Protoss is losing a tremendous lot here. You can see the army supply dwindling. That was 30 army supply lost already, and the fight's still raging. These stint Marines on the high ground are doing so much damage, and that's the natural. And it would make little sense to snipe this SCV to try and delay that natural a little bit. 3rd base for Protoss though is up, and then the Terran natural hasn't even finished yet. More units coming up. That's not really going to work, but the 4th base is already taken for Banana Brain and will finish a little bit later than the natural for Terran. Main base still got a lot of juice in it, so Terran can do quite well with a 2-base economy, and of course this is one of the most effective compositions you can have versus pure gateway units. And the question is, when will the pure gateway units stop? When will we see some Dark Templars, High Templars, or perhaps Reavers? That might be quite deadly versus a composition like this, but Goons and Zealots, these Marines and Medics can face and fight and kill all day. So, oh dear, there we go. We saw the scan going off. 4 High Templars already, backed up by a little bit of Zealots and Goons. Very nice. We've also got the Rover Bay and the Observatory, and that's going to be another gateway. 4th base operational. Natural for Egbert is not really saturated, building more barracks, and Egbert has got a large army. It used to move out at the 45 mark last game, and here it's trying to do so again. The big problem is going to be these gentlemen, and let's see if their weapon of choice is operational already. Yes, it is Storm. And if these Marines stim once too often, or stim at all, this is going to be a bloody massacre. This Storm is going to kill so many Marines, although it... oh god, this is so ugly. And Will we have one more storm? No, we only got 3 Marines left, and with all these goons and a couple of zealots, I think this is going to be a foregone conclusion that this victory goes to Protoss. Protoss taking a 5th base. Good morning to you, sir. And will we have some observers as well? More Templars being streamed up the front. No gathering anywhere, just going to be units, units, units. And the zealots leading the charge, the goons in the rear. Oh, the observer got taken out by... oh, that storm kind of missed. And that one was right on top, so yeah. Oh, and another one. So that's quite expert Templar use. This one is a bit of a goo-glue on the own goons, but you can't have it all. And right now we've got 12 versus 60 army supply. The 5th base for Protoss is operational. There is some kind of a worker balancing act going on, but it's not really important at this point. We've got 70 versus 30 workers. The main for Terran's running out, and the natural is in a bit of a dire strait. We've got a lot of Templar. They might move a little bit more to the rear. The goons are killing SCVs, which is okay, but meanwhile the Marines are shooting at the High Templar, and that is not really all that cost efficient now, is it? No, dear, I should keep them a little bit further back. But then again, you've got this 5 base versus 1. Basically, the natural's not really outputting anything. And will we have more Templar? Well, lots of gateway. This is a constant stream of gateway units. No kind of Reaver tech, just High Templars, and there are only a handful of them. Meanwhile, the Marine Corps is growing in strength again. And you can see what 5 Marines can do at this point. They do an awful lot of damage versus these Protoss units just trickling in. And lots of High Templars killed. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, nice storm though, and I think this is going to be just very bloody and perhaps a bit drawn out, because Banana Brains doesn't really stage large combat groups. They doesn't really build up a large army and then send it over. It's just going to filter in units one at a time. But with this kind of production capacity, it's not really a problem at the moment. Terran army supply is down to 4, no minerals being mined at all, and this is the game. So the next one is going to be the new bot. It's called G-Bot, and I should make this a little bit quieter because it's rather loud, at least in my ears. And it's playing Forcebot, and Forcebot of course is the Gold Zerg by Tom Peters, and Tom is such a go-to. Oh, well, I wanted to show you that. Have I got that open? Twitch, and it's called Sprite Club. And I hope we don't get a commercial first. Probably will be. And Tom Peters is hosting this AI thing for... well, basically it's a sort of a Street Fighter thing. And you can write your own Street Fighter bot and do all kinds of graphics things. And there are thousands and thousands of players playing it. And all kinds of wacky manga. Or I've even seen Garfield... I've seen Garfield play, and he's throwing rugs and Odies and pizzas and God knows what at the enemy. But you can do quite a lot with that, and well, this is a Sprite Club, and you can, it's a Twitch channel of its own. You can also code these AIs for this Street Fighter thing, and it's really, well, I like it. It's a little bit less complex than Brute AI, and it's very graphical. It's just very all kinds of interesting things going about, and you can see how it's going to play out. All kinds of sick moves and lots of graphic effects. It's just one big mess, but there are all kinds of divisions and championships, and it's very interesting. But for the time being, just visit, support it. It's Sprite Club TV. And back to the real world of Brute AI. It's Forcebot with the Go Project engine from Delft Technical University versus G-Bot is new. Going for a Forge Expand, not really the best SimCity, but then again, perhaps it's thought to stop Lings more than Hydras. Hydras, of course, would outrange the Forge and the Gateway before the cannons could come into play, and that is a nice opening because the SimCity is going to be the standard. Oh, that's a nice assembly of Lings. Lings now going after the scouting probe, cornering it, killing it. What's ForceBot going to do? Build more Lings, looks like. And now the Lings are coming in, but there are Zealots and a couple of cannons, so for the time being Protoss pretty safe. What's going to come next? We've got the StarGate. That's always nice to have. Third base up by ForceBot, and ForceBot just gathering a small army, trying to get something done. But there is a Corsair out, and oh, the moment it is, we've got a Hydra trying to protect a couple of Overlords at the same time. Third base up for Zerg, natural of course up for Protoss worker-wise. Protoss almost exactly double that of Zerg. And lots of Zerglings coming in, but with the 2 cannons from the rear and the 3 Zealots, that's a very nice SimCity. All the Lings sort of evaporate, but now the Hydras are coming into play. The first cannon falls, the second cannon is falling as well. Only 2 Hydras left, and there is really a tiny little bit of production for Protoss, which means that this this one Zealot is trying to do something still, but ForceBot has got the third up. Not really a huge population of drones, it's only 26 over 3 bases, not really a lot of tech, but Geebot seems to be not quite on point, and there is hardly any army left for Geebot. There is a Reaver in a shuttle, looks like, and it will have to defend pretty well. Of course there are some Corsairs to help out, but the shuttle is targeted, and the Reaver! The Reaver! The Reaver's doing quite well, but some probes are lost in the process, and the Hydras have to hightail it out of there, and the natural Nexus still stands. Forge, though, is going to fall, and ForceBot with the fourth base started. A couple of drones have been built, a macro hatchery. The Corsairs are still out there, but the Protoss army is absolutely puny. And the question is, where is the shuttle with the Reaver? Has it been killed, or is it here? I think it's here. Oh, we've got 2 now, and oh, these shuttles should be really rather careful. But still, they can do a lot of damage versus these Hydras. Oh, the Link snuffs it. Oh, 1 shuttle killed. Second shuttle rather low. And with the shuttle and the Reaver, Protoss can sort of hold its own. The Corsairs are still there, but Zerg is crawling all over the map. 5th base started, 6th base started, and the units are going to be so many that Geebot, although it's started out with a nice SimCity and has got this shuttle Reaver thing. Oh, the shuttle Reaver thing is not really as careful as it could have been, as now it's dead. Corsairs are still doing good. And lots of them. How many have we got? Quite a number. Are hunting Overlords, and Zerg is somewhat not supply stuck at the moment. Where are all the Overlords? I don't know. Some of them are here. Problem though for Zerg is, for Protoss, is that it's stuck on 1 base, and it's really got no army at all, save for a handful of Corsairs, and the Hydras are all over this. We've got, we haven't got too many upgrades, but at the point where you, as a single drone, have to fight this many Hydras, you are not going to have a really good day now, have you? Zerg, meanwhile, taking more bases, worker count still relatively low, but the Hydra core is all over the workers, and if you're fighting workers with Hydras, you're doing okay. So going to be the game, shuttle going to die, these last 2 Zealots are going to die as well. No more money from Geebot. A valiant effort, but ForceBot in its current form is just too strong. It's not really as snappish as the best bots, but it is growing ever stronger and stronger. So, without further ado, let's see how the new guy, the new star on the block, Banana Brain, is going to play versus Crazio. And Crazio is the #1, and well, I can probably show you this. The game won't take off so quickly. We've got Crazio with an ELO of 2448. That's quite a bit higher than Ironbot. TSMU Terran has dropped a little bit, or the other bots have gotten stronger, and that's mainly got to do with the last update of Crazio, which incorporated a nice set of updates versus specific opponents, I think, and is now handling the top bots a little bit better. So Ironbot #2, Right behind that, or at least almost 100 points behind that, Purple Wave, then Kilowatt, B Reaver, and then we've got Banana Brain. Then T Smooth, Cherry Pie, Ice Labs. Ice Lab doing quite okay, very stable, and Banana Brain is really rocking the world, and it's at a 6th place. And as a new guy, or a new bot I should say, where is it? That's quite damn impressive. And of course you've got the Cutus, which is the other good Protoss bot. So Protoss really working on a renaissance, but still the top bots, Iron, Crazio, TSC still up there. So lots of work still to be done. Banana Brain going for the 2-gate we saw earlier, then with the gas, then with the cyber core. Crazio going for a barracks, then a bunker, gas of course terribly early, then a factory, and trying to hold this game with 2 Marines only, and of course no, 4 Marines there must be, because there is 4 supply used. Banana Brains with another gateway coming up, very quick natural, handful of zealots, and that's always a good thing to do. If you've got nothing better to do, just build zealots, they always come in handy. Crazio with a slightly defensive setup, 2 Marines, Vulture, tank in the rear, bunker over there, a couple of Marines in that as well. Starport trying to do a lot of one base, and Banana Brains has already got the natural up and running, lots of probes all over the place. Probe numbers are almost, well, are 8 ahead of that Terran, and Terran of course hasn't got the natural up and running. 2 tanks going to be built, and Crazio trying to sit back a long time, and Protoss ballsily taking the middle expansion. That's quite brave if you are going to play an enemy called Crazio, or any enemy at all. Crazio meanwhile tacking up really hard, upgrades, air units, an academy, and more tanks, and that is just a very slow style, but it's taken Crazio up to the point where it is now. This though I must question, because you are not going to fight a Protoss with such a large army with a couple of raids and tanks in the middle of the map. If these tanks are lost, you're going to miss them here at the defense of the natural, and if Protoss does ever decide to try and hit those tanks, they are virtually defenseless without any supporting units, and I don't really know what's up with that. 1 Vulture over here with an SCV, but that's just way too many zealots to try and deal with that. This tank though, didn't even get off a single shot, and this tank is going to be caught by the zealots, and lots of zealots all over the place, and that's where all these zealots come in handy. The zealots are not going to stop for the defense, it's just going to wade into the natural. This tank will perhaps still live. Bunker repairs going off, but here come more zealots and the goons. Tank in the rear starting to blast away, but the other tanks are all gone. They've all been killed out on the map, and this tank dies, and the natural Crazio's overrun all of a sudden. It's 32 versus 12 army supply. There is not a choke, but the natural's up for grabs, and Banana Brains has got the middle base operational, has got a 4th base taken already, and is taking away quite happily. And Crazio, losing those tanks, is in a large quandary. It is sort of holding the next choke with the infantry corps, but the natural hasn't been mining for ages. It's only got 1 tank, and its army is really puny. It's got a science vessel, it's got a tank, it's got a vultures, hasn't got really much of anything. It's got a wraith. And Crazio is a little bit fragmented, if I may say so. We've got a medic, we've got this hybrid build, which is really powerful if you've got a little bit more units, but right now I think you are going to need more tanks. Oh, and here goes the tank again. Why in the earth would you do that? That's one of the worst choices. Yeah, you can have a wraith and a vulture harassing, but you can't lose tanks like that. It's just not done. And now it's still 1 tank and a little bit of infantry, and here come the Templars again. Oh dear, the Templars, and these storms are some of the best storms I've seen yet. Of course I don't know who Banana Brain is, but they remind me of McRave when it did storm, and not of course from McRave when it didn't storm. It's 1 tank and a little bit of infantry versus a lot of gateway units with high Templars, and the 4th base is up, the 5th base has been taken. Banana Brains is going completely insane with a macro. Look at all these gateways. If the main would have been camped, that would be a major problem. But Crazio has thrown away too many tanks. Main is getting low already. It's back at the main choke again. There is a bunker, there is 1 tank. And can it hold? We've only got one tank, and now the Zealots are in the SCV lines again. The medics are being targeted. Oh, well, the Observer isn't going to enjoy this very much. The tank is doing what it can, but meanwhile these buildings are taking some damage. The science vessel is taking damage. Oh, and the tank snuffed it as well. That was very unfortunate. Crazio down to 0 tanks. 10, it's 9 versus 46 army supply. The Naturals overrun. Buildings are being killed left and right. The bunker is going to fall, I think. Banana Brain can't quite make up its mind what it's going to kill, but the main is practically out. And Banana Brain is macroing, is hard out. If we look at the upgrades, Banana Brain starting with +2. We've got all kinds of observer upgrades. We've got the Kyderin tablet for Templar energy. We've got leg speed, we've got a goon range, and Crazio is struggling to get by, to get any kind of army together. The bunker has fallen. The High Templars are now fighting SCVs with the Zealots, and that is not a position you'd like to be in. The goon corps has been led astray a little bit by some vulture or something, and now is returning to kill off the main base. Crazio is going to fall to the new Protoss Banana Brain. Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen it here. Banana Brain going completely berserk on poor Crazio. The top one bot with a supply, with an ELO difference of 150 points. And if you can do this to Crazio, if I were any other bot, I had better beware. So after this I thought, well, if Crazio can't stand up to it, let's see how TSCMU is going to fare. And TSCMU, of course, does tend to win versus Crazio in a TVT. And Banana Brain with the same strong opening. We've got 2 gates and a cyber core. And then sit back at the ramp, then sit back at the natural choke, build a couple of Zealots, nothing too aggressive. And TSCMU with the single Vulture. Where are you, my friend? Another SCV scouting, 1 Marine, doing a lot of 1 base, and that's mainly due to Iron Bots, really aggressive style. And this Vulture could... Oh yes, there we go. The Vulture's going to town on the Zealots, and as there aren't that many Zealots in all, the Vultures can do quite well. Now we've got 4, and only now is there a Dragoon, and the Dragoon has even a minus something. It's pretty low as well. Now these Vultures, of course, they kill the Zealots, but they can't really... Oh, they are taking a lot of damage versus the Goon, but in the end they do kill it. Banana Brain with a couple of Goons is in an okay position still, only 6 army supply, and TSCMU is already nearly finished the natural. That's good. Banana Brain ahead with a macro, and that is what we saw last game as well versus Crazio. It macroed, it out macroed basically anything we've ever seen yet, and that's the 3rd base started already. TSCMU being really rather timid with the Vultures. And you can see this kind of anti-Iron Bot play, just sitting back at home, not being too aggressive, not trying to lose too many units in the middle of the map to the superior micro and harass of Iron Bot. Now the Vulture core is rolling out again. Banana Brain sitting back at home. If we look at the upgrades, we've got only the range. TSCMU with the Vulture speed, siege mode, +1 weapons, not siege mode, and the range for the Goliaths. Spider Mines, of course, and siege mode. There it is. And Banana Brain's going for more gateways. Look at the armies. It's got a 42 supply army, and with all the goons there are, TSCMU really hasn't got the tank count at the moment. It's only got 2 tanks, and versus 8 goons, that's not really all that much. The Zealots, though! Oh, there are so many Zealots dying to the mines. That's really unfortunate. And by the time the goons hit TSCMU's army, all the goons have been evaporated. Ooh, this Vulture is very lucky. And then it's the tank and Goliath core, and tanks and Goliaths, of course, are very much better than Zealots are against goons. 4th base started and found. That's very good. I don't know if these Vultures can tear it down before the goons come. And a couple of goons are being caught with their pants down. A couple of Zealots are being absorbed. TSCMU appears to be better, just a little bit more aggressive. Oh, and that tank got killed. Very unfortunate. A couple of observers got shot. And Banana Brain is going after the tanks with the goons. TSCMU is unable to protect the heavy artillery, the big guns. And now is going after the 4th base of Banana Brain. Nice kind of a standoff. TSCMU did manage to save a couple of tanks, but the tanks are all... over the place, and the SCVs are not with the army. So the Goon Corps is going to grow. Army supply-wise, it's pretty even. And now the 4th base for Protoss is up, so it's a 4 versus 2 base. 3rd base for TSMU not yet up. TSMU doing what it can with map control, with the mines, with the vultures, but the tanks are too exposed. Here is another example of that. It's just one tank. Ooh, that was a really ugly mine hit. But you can see Banana Brain just rolling with the macro. It's losing units left and right, but it's also getting stuff done. And taking a 6th base attack now by 3 Goliaths. But TSMU's tank count at the moment is too low. There is one tank over here, a couple of zealots, a couple of goons. Oh, and this tank is way too exposed. Nice defensive position here for TSMU, but it really would have liked to have some more map control. This base going to fall to the Goliaths before the goons clear it up, and immediately is retaken. This Goliath is going to fall, and TSMU is now sort of contained. Here are the High Templar again, and TSMU is down to the low ground. That's well, that's a nice characteristic of this map, Jade, where it pushes people or bots to move out. Because if you are going to sit back in your main, you've got this low ground plus the high ground disadvantage. Banana Brain is going berserk with the macro again. One tip, it could build a pylon and the 2 cannons at each base to prevent this kind of harassment from happening. TSMU meanwhile is going to take more bases, and of course production in the expansion, which may come in handy. Trying to roll with the mech core, but the tanks are wandering off on their own. I don't know what's up with that. Crazier used to do it too, or did it too last game, I should say. And if you are losing tanks like this, you're not going to beat a Protoss like Banana Brain. Or perhaps it can, because it's still got this defensive tank over here. And this tank over here should be repaired pretty quickly. There are no Marines in the bunker, which is a mistake as well. And now the natural is about to be broken, which is no good news. And of course, oh dear, oh dear, the 3rd got ravaged as well. Rage, I don't know what I'm saying. But the goons are still in the natural, still doing damage. Of course, the goons are dying left and right. But Banana Brain has already taken its half of the map. TSMU's got this base, got that base, but hardly got any SCVs left in the main. The natural looks like this. Upgrade differential is, well, slightly in the favor of Protoss. +2 is nearly finishing. Tech only Storm, hello. How many Templar have we got? With a lot of energy. Problem for TSMU is it's only got 6 army supplies, so basically there's nothing worth storming at this moment. And yeah, that's a nice snipe on the Templar, but the main problem is this. The Goon Corps of Banana Brain is so good, it can roll with everything. Half the map being taken, the main being shred to pieces. Banana Brain now maxed, macroing, and well, it's just so aggressive, it can't really be stopped now, looks like. Crazio fell to it, TSMU fell to it. And what have we left? TSMU trying to regroup in the corner of the map with only 1 factory, trying to rebuild a machine shop. And of course there is this base. But now Protoss has killed the main, not really wasting any time on all these attachments. And the main army is already on the way to the new machine shop with Dark Templar, with the Goon, with the High Templars. The High Templars going to block the ramp, that's always a nice thing to do. Could storm over here. TSMU rebuilding another main in record speed. The problem is it's got 0 versus 129 army supply, and the upgrades for Banana Brain are going to increase all the time. Only got 1 forge, looks like. Could be a little bit better with that, because if you've got 10 and 5k stacked, oh dear, and the storms go off, all the SCVs crumble and flee and die. The next base for TSMU is going to fall, and TSMU is rebuilding, but not really building any forces, and it's going to need them quite quickly. So you can all imagine how this is going to end, because the base has been found. Let's look at the next map, or the next competitor, because I thought, well, if Crazio can't do it, and TSMU can't do it, what Terran have we got left that is better at defending? And Crazio and TSMU, you saw earlier, they used to send out tanks on their own, which is, well, proved to be rather detrimental to their general health. Banana Brain with a very good 2-gate into a cyber core. Ice is going to throw up a nice wall. Then a tank on the high ground and then populate the natural, which is at about the same timing as a Banana Brain's got it. The Banana Brain with the third base, Ice mining up all the bases. Being very methodical with that, I like that. Just not taking any chances, and if enemies are going to kill the mine, you know they are interested in that base. So very sound and basic play by IceLab, but will it be enough? I think this high ground position is a little bit far off. If they're coming in from the higher bridge, you can't shoot up until here, I think, with these tanks. But still, these tanks are not going to run off on their own. They're first going to camp the high ground. Vultures kill a couple of zealots, not too many. Bunker is going to be repaired, and now the tanks start blasting from the high ground. That's very good. Oh, and this one is going to fall. No, the SCVs are not going to fall to collateral damage from the tanks. The bunker is still holding, and Banana Brain is obsessed with killing this barracks. That's not good, but the tanks can't reach the goons. And the bunker is holding for the time being. The third base for Banana is up. Is there a fourth base yet? No, there isn't. Yes, there is. With the observer, I missed how he took care of the mine over there. And the bunker is holding off the goons for the time being. The tank count is increasing. We've got 6 now, which is good. And basically, if there's this kind of gateway play, you need to keep your tank forces in order. Now, with repair, can this Goliath live? I think it can. And if one of these progress units steps right below here, it gets blasted by these tanks on the high ground. The Goliath, although being repaired, is taking a lot of damage. This building been killed. Ice with the growing tank count, and is looking to get some tanks down on the low ground as well. Might build some more city buildings here. That is a turret, might not be the sturdiest, but is going to work. And Banana Brains with their fourth base up is going to go off the wall again. We've got the Robo Bay, we've got the Templar Archives, and we've got an army which is equal to that of IceLabs. IceLabs now going out with the tanks, one of them in front, the other ones in a nice concave along the bridges. And you will see how effective that can be. This tank over here is in grave danger, but I think that all units trying to approach these bridges even are oh, that is not good at all. The tanks on siege right in the moment where the zealots moved in. They should be kept sieged. And these High Templars ought to be rather careful as well. Ice now with 8 tanks out there, 9 tanks out there. As long as it keeps the tanks siege, it would be okay. More tanks rolling up. And this is a pair of bridges that Banana Brain would do well to avoid. Much better to sweep in from the rear or do some kind of shuttle play. Ice with a third base, and I think that's a very good setup. Nice nice defending with the mines, going to cost a lot of zealots. And although the observers see the mines, zealots are going to be lost, and the tank count for Ice is going to grow. But will it be enough? Because Banana Brain is going to macro so hard. Or at least I say that because it's got a huge amount of money. Production tab is completely full, but it appears not to really have enough gateways at this point. And Ice is going to kill so many units. The mines are doing their utmost. The tanks are going to blast away at these hapless goons, and these poor zealots are wading into the mines every once in a while. It is so costly. Ice, the only thing it's losing right now is the odd vulture, and perhaps this tank is really rather exposed. But the third is up, the fourth is up, and Banana Brain is just trying to filter in through this area over here where there are so many mines, so many tanks, and Ice with 4 bases has got or will have 4 comsats, which will mean nearly endless scans for the High Templars. This is not the right area to take another base, and it looks like Banana Brain can't really do anything with these bases that are mined. Now Ice is moving out. Oh, the storm nearly completely misses, and Ice has got 22 tanks, which Crazio and TSMU didn't have, and Ice is keeping them tight together. The observers are there, but oh dear, there are so many tanks at this point. this base is not going to make it. And Banana Brain, with only 37 army supply, is going to have a devil of a job trying to stop this army. And at the next pair of bridges, Ice is just going to set up shop, really nice concave, and also going to take another base and another one. So Ice is going into full macro mode. Matrix tanks now got another pair of bridges from behind which it can shell these poor goons, and these goons are a little bit too aggressive. The tanks can't really cross the bridges, but behind the bridges are just so many tanks. It's completely inbound. Storms going off left and right, Zealots doing their work, but this unstoppable tank force, or it's not really unstoppable, I think I'd really stop it a little bit sooner than it reaching my natural. Because all the production of Banana is located in the main. And even though the tank force of Ice is dwindling fast, the reinforcements are taking forever. The small batch of them may be freed up once this base falls. Oh dear, the fourth base is falling. The natural is out. No more bases for Banana Brain, save this one, sparsely populated. Very little gas, but still got a lot of resources left. The drop of Ice going off on this base. And still the contain is there. The contain of the natural is there. More Goliaths have been dropped, and Banana Brain is caught on the high ground. It's contained. It's got no more income, and Ice is going to hammer away. Very solid play by Ice Lab, where Crazio and TSU failed due to being too aggressive with single tanks. Ice keeping its forces right together and shelling the bejesus out of these poor goons and zealots. And although Banana Brain's got a bit of a bank, it's going to run out quickly. Ice is all over this map. It is not even maxed yet, and that's mainly because it hasn't got the gas. But it will have the gas soon. It's got this mineral only, and it could mine gas over here. It is mining gas over here. Run no more workers free to do so though, so it's going to take a little while. But now Banana is going to be out of money. It's got gas for 2 more goons probably. There is one Templar, but it's going to fall, and Ice now with so many upgrades, +2, a couple of Zealots weighed in, kill some tanks, but it's just not going to work if you see what kind of a large horde of Terran units is waiting at the bottom of the ramp. And as soon as these tanks clear up these first buildings, Banana Brain is out, and Ice is going to win the game, and I say GG. So, we've got another Protoss hitting the spotlight. It's Locutus, and Locutus is of course Borg. Where is it? It's at about 9th or 10th place, which is pretty good as well, in a very elect company. Yeah, that's going to loop, very good. And let's see what kind of a build order it will do. Expansion, oh well, Forge first, 1 cannon. Versus Zerg, I think that's a jolly good setup. And we see with the BWEM and Steam Hammer thing going on, that SimCity is going to be the de facto standard. 2 cannons can do quite well versus scouting Zerg. Oh, that's quite a bit of Zerglings though. And the probes are now coming off the line. The Zerglings have been spotted. And there is a Zealot, of course, so too. So these Zerglings are not entirely wasted, because that is a huge amount of mining time. Basically all the mining time is lost. That's really unfortunate. Could do with a little bit less of that. And the only thing mined at the moment, is 1 probe is mining gas. That's pretty good. And the rest of the probes is just lingering here, trying to do go-to things. And now the probes are going to fight the Zerglings while the cannons do nothing. I can't really agree with that, but now at least they go back to work. The problem is it's now 5 versus 30 workers. The 3rd base for Zerg's nearly up. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, that was not the best start of the game of Locutus. Might do a little bit better with the work defense. +1 is finished, but there is no Zealot at all, so that doesn't really concern anyone anymore. Zerg taking all the bases on the map, still having 4 army supply only, but now producing some army at least. And will we get some upgrades as well? Yeah, some upgrades. +1 armor being made for Protoss as well. Still only 2 cannons, so we've got +1 weapons, +1 armor, and no units at all. Oh, we've got 1 goon, and the goon is dead. So should have taken a leaf from TSCMU and Crazio's book, not to send out units by themselves. Not going to work, very unfortunate, and then going to die. We've got 3 lurkers morphing, and more bases being taken by Zerg. Zerg is taking its sweet time, but going to make pretty sure that this game is going to be won. And now the gateway is going to be, oh dear, under attack by 1 lurker. And everything that's going to come out. Oh, we've got 2 mutas over here. We've got any mutas over there. Yep, we've got a couple of mutas over there. So the mutas, with a strong showing earlier, but now is becoming a little bit, oh dear, oh dear, poor workers. Not really going to work. So GG, and already Guardians being morphed in the base because all the probes are gone, all the army is gone, save probably, what is it, 1 observer somewhere. And Alien just too good for this kind of wacky build order. Back to the drawing board for now, and let's see if this game is going to be better. It's Locutus versus Zerg again, and it's Cherry Pie, and I don't know if someone recommended this game or I took it myself. First off, wow, that forge is really far out, but I think with these 2 cannons should be in an okay position. Nice SimCity, and Cherry Pie going with the quick expansion, and only then I think, oh, 3 bases, wow, 4 hatcheries, and only then building the pool. That is as ballsy as you can get, and only then taking gas. Locutus going for 1 zealot and +1 and range, and only has 2 zealots, so that's a bit of an overemphasis on upgrades. And I think there's going to be a cannon, or it's going to be a pylon. No, it's a cannon, pretty nicely done. Lots of gateways, but I think as a build order it's really too aggressive. Although this SimCity is nice and quite a bit of forces in the choke already. Now Cherry Pie with all the tech buildings here in the choke of the natural, nice SimCity. 4th base already being taken, and very important, it is not losing so many units. It will retreat, it will try to attack and do damage, but if it thinks, well, I can't handle this, it will retreat and stay well out of range, and try not to lose too many units at the same time for nothing. This goon charge is going to be very interesting, but there will be so many Zerg units because the 4th base is operational at least, and Cherry Pie is going to build hatches all over the place. This goon push had, wow, it's doing so well. The micro is so good, nice concave there. Even the Hydras don't want to have anything to do with that, but perhaps with a couple of mutas, and the damage can be brought to bear, and these goons can be targeted. Oh, 2 of them get cut off from the main herd. And now Locutus is with an 18-14 versus 30 army supply. 3rd base is up, macro is looking okay, but the army production, army micro of Locutus is just not as good as that of Banana Brain. And now the zealots are gone, the goons are gone, the turrets, the cannons are being targeted, and Cherry Pie is all over this. Look at how many hatches there are, it's just out of this world. The naturals overrun, a couple of goons try to out-macro the Hydras, but there are just so many Hydras, so many Zerglings, and once the Zerglings are in among the goons don't really have much chance anymore. They can't really macro as much as they'd like to. And Cherry Pie with huge numbers of Zerglings, and look at how many hatches there are. 2 over here, we've got 3, soon to be 4 over there, 1 here and 2 there. So that's quite a number. It's at least 2 or it's at least 3 hatches per expansion, and then you can build lots of units and move into the enemy base. So before we start the last game, which will be Marion Devecker's Killerbot versus Banana Brain, it's one last game of Egbert because the opponent is Sparks, and Sparks of course is the Terran bot of Magrave. Magrave Protoss, unfortunately no longer with us, still waiting for that to come back, but Meanwhile, we have got Sparks, and Sparks got upgraded as well, so I thought, well, let's show that. Nice wall off. Is this going to be... No, it's not going to be a bunker, it's going to be a depot. Some marines, and this barracks lifting and landing. I don't know what that's about. Could be a little bit more efficient. Could be more efficient in producing if it didn't do that all the time, but I don't know. Nice scouting SUV bugging out, and beautiful testament to the beautifulness of this OpenBW project. And McRave still lifting and landing, and now building an academy over here. Oh dear, oh dear. This building placement has gone absolutely crazy. I don't know what this SUV is going to do, but we've got one barracks, we've got a couple of more barracks coming up. We've got the eBay flashing, and Egbert is going to do its 45 bio push, 45 supply bio push. Question is, oh no, it's not going to be 45. Oh yes, it is. They're just mulling about to make place for this turret. And I really don't know what's up with the building scripts of Sparks. Nice barracks cluster, 4 in a pack. So many marines being built, and Sparks has got more marines right now than has got Egbert. Upgrade wise, they're about equal. Yeah, +1 and range are done. Oh, +1's not done yet for Egbert. And Grave, oh, I mean, Sparks is pushing, could be killing the natural expansion. That would be a great thing to do. The SUV gets killed, another one gets sent over, but it can't really exit the base. And now Sparks is, oh hello, what's this about? I really don't know. Sparks is going to produce lots more units because it's got 2 bases, soon to be 3. And the constructing SUV for the natural of Egbert can't really get out. More than double the supply for Sparks at this moment. And upgrade-wise, they're about dead equal, so that doesn't really matter. Now we've got this bunker doing lots of damage, but it is going to fall, and now it's the high versus the low ground, and of course the SUV got out, so the natural is now done. With a bit of a worker transfer, that might work, but the only worker transfer going on at the moment is that of Sparks, and Sparks is still building more factories. And building more depots in the middle of the map for some reason. And now it's going to be some heavy marine on marine action. Stims going off all over the place. Egbert being a little bit careless with units. I think Sparks is getting a little bit more purchase out of its force. And of course it's 36 versus 12 army supply. Of course you've got the defender's advantage. 1 or 2 bunkers might really do wonders. Got the tanks too. Haven't got a factory yet. No, yeah, we have, but it's not really got a machine shop, so it's not really building anything. The natural command center is being killed. The SUVs are coming off the line, but they're being butchered by the 2s and 3s really, because there are not 10s and 1000s. And McRave is going all out. So many barracks flashing everywhere, and so many buildings being built in the middle of the map. That's also very cute. 4th base coming up. And this is going to be a demonstration of how much you can get done with just bio. And that is without nukes and ghosts, of course. So that's the game, and the last game of the day will be Marion Devecker's Kilowatt versus Banana Brain, the new resident Protoss, which took out Crazio, took out TSC Terran, and only fell to Icebot because Icebot was a star at defending, and Banana Brain kept bashing its head versus the tank wall, and that didn't really work as well as hoped. Now Killer going for the expansion, and only then I think is going to build a spawning pool, but not a 3rd base before the spawning pool like did Cherry. Banana Brain going for 2 gates, and then I think a cyber core like it always does. Handful of zealots, and there is the core. Now Killer going for a handful of zerglings, because Killer doesn't really believe in pacifism, and if you're going to play a war you better build some forces to do it all the better. Going for gas, a relatively low worker count. And not really throwing away any units versus these 3 zealots. 2 more zealots coming up. A Banana Brain coming in with the probe for the really quick expansion. The cyber core is up, and now with the Sunkens, oh dear, the zealots are going to fight the Sunken. And that's basically throwing away 3 zealots for 1/2 sunken and 1 zergling, and that's not really worth it. A couple of more zerglings are going to be killed, but all in all, this is a victory for Zerg, because as soon as this Protoss army gets bigger and bigger, it's going to be in a better position to get Zerglings killed. And now you can see the Zealots are having the devil of a job to deal with these Zerglings. Oh, and this is a little bit sloppy by a Killerbot, but so far so good. It's 6 versus 0 army supply. Killer, what are you going to do? Building a lot of defensive structures and sneaking out a drone for a 3rd base, but meanwhile Banana Brain's clock is starting to tick, and the clock means that it's going to produce units upon units upon units, and it's going to do so quite effectively. Lots of zealots out already, and it's 12 versus 2 army supply, and that's not the worst, but as a Zerg you've got to catch up to that. And if the zealots ever get +1, it's going to be very hard to stop that clock from ticking. And now you see we've got 6 zealots moving out. Killer with only 1.5 army supply. Of course we've got a Spire, so if there were some zealots they might work wonders. Banana Brain going for a 3rd already, and for some reason, oh, here come the neuters. The zealots don't really know how to deal with them. Have we got any goons yet? No, we haven't. We've got a starport, but if there are not going to be any Corsairs, it might be very difficult to stop this neuter flock, especially if it is in your natural. And you can see Banana Brain is really, really hungry, but it is not really as adaptive or as clever as in this instance Killerbot. Killerbot ignoring the goons, almost going for a lot of work. Kills, I don't know if that's the best decision. But right now it's 35-34 versus 28 workers, and although a lot of neuters are biting the dust, this base still, not really operational, as the neuters have found it as well. So many workers killed for Protoss. The 3rd base is up for Zerg, and oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the Zealots hit this Zerg natural while I wasn't watching. Neuters have to come back to try and deal with it, but the Spire goes down, and that was an excellent move by Banana Brain, defending and killing the enemy natural as well. Only 1 neuter left, and now it's 3 versus 2 bases, and it's a little bit devolved, this match, because there is no anti-air at the natural. The workers of Banana Brain are suffering horribly. There is a neuter in the main, a neuter, or 2 neuters in, or 1 neuter anymore in the natural, and no neuters over here anymore, so that's pretty good. 3rd base for Killer is up, the natural is retaken. Worker count is still okay, but really, I mean, ought to take another base. Worker transfer going off big time, but transferring so many workers over such a long distance is not really recommended, I would say. And I think if this natural finishes, they're going to be transferred right back. No, only 1 is. Or perhaps it's going to take another base. So, oh, we've got Zerglings, and Killer is harassing the hell out of Banana Brain. Banana Brain is really scrambling to get any kind of show together. There is still 1 neuter with only a sliver of HP, but still killing probes. And it's only 12 probes versus 30, 40 workers for Zerg. And Banana Brain keeps building Zealots, and what's it doing with the Zealots? It's trying to defend this base over here, so it can't really prioritize at this moment. Meanwhile, the neuters and Zerglings are running away with this game. Only 11 workers left, 2 bases, but the neuters are all over this. And that's not really how it's supposed to be. 4th base operational for Killer, and that is showing the weak spots in the armor of Banana Brain. It is not as adaptive as some of the other older, more experienced bots, but it can macro with the best of them, and if you let it get away with that, you will pay the price. But if you can do some kind of distributed attack, harass all the bases at once, this neuter must have so many probe kills to his name. And meanwhile, the neuter flock in the main base has grown to quite decent proportions, going for the pylons first, and Killer is at its leisure sending in some neuters, some Zerglings, not really anything too hasty. And that looks like a very good show by the Old Guard versus Banana Brain. So the 3rd is going to be wrecked, the natural's been wrecked already, all the pylons in the main have been killed almost. And after the pilots have been killed, some Zerglings are coming in for the heavy destruction job. And that was the game. So this broadcast basically was about Banana Brain, promising new bot. We'll have to learn some more tricks to make it to the absolute top, but already beating Crazio and TSMU. So it's going to be a very interesting spring from a Protoss perspective. I say thank you for watching. I hope to see you again next week. For now, goodbye.